So in today's video, I want to touch on worry and how worry can develop into what I like to call worry parties, and how from an energetic point of view, there's ways we can support ourselves to help tame the worry parties that may be going on. So when we find ourselves in difficult times, when we find ourselves overwhelmed or stressed out, we tend to move from problem solving into worrying. And at first, worrying can feel productive. It can feel as though, you're hashing out all the solutions, you're looking into all the possible outcomes. But what happens is the more we're worrying, the more we're triggering a stress response. And the more we trigger our stress response and we move away from rest, digest, restore, logical thinking, the more we move into fight, flight, freeze, and survival thinking. So when we move into worrying and we moved into this heightened worrying response, what seems to happen is we trigger other worries. So what started out or as one or two worries moves into the initial worries and then some of the other worries that feel closely related. And what's amazing is that the power of the brain to find other pathways of worry. So what happens is we start to develop what I like to call a worry party. So at first there's one or two worries present, and we're already mulling those over, and the activation and the physical, emotional response we have to those worries starts to activate other worry pathways in the body. And before you know it, you've added 3 or 4 more worries to the party, right? And as that volume heightens and the noise of those worries gets louder, our system starts heightening and finding other pathways. And before you know it, you have what I like to call a worry party. And the thing about our brain is it is not limited to time or space. So the worries that it can find in our whole catalog of worries that we have going on here from our past experiences are pretty endless, right? We can trigger all sorts of amazing pathways to add to this party. And even more than that, we're not restricted to worrying about our own experiences. We can then find pathways or memories that remind us of worried experiences that friends have had. Social media is another great example, right? We read something and before you know it, we're experiencing someone else's worries or worries that are in line with what we're worrying about, but they're actually coming from another space. Our neighbor went through an experience and we can experience their worry on their behalf, right? So before you know it, we've got our own past experiences of worry. We're worrying about what we're seeing going on around us in other people's experience. We're mulling it all over. We're having a stress response to all of it. And then even more incredible, our brains have this ability to move forward in time and space, to create an infinite number of worries out of things that haven't happened yet. The possibilities. We can worry about what this will mean 20 years from now. We can worry about what this will mean for our children a week from now, right? Endless possible outcomes. And the more of those possible outcomes we add to our worry party, the more worried we become, the more heightened our stress response, the more anxious our body feels, and it becomes palpable. All of a sudden, your head is hurting, your stomach's not feeling well, maybe experiencing tension and jaw pain, right? This physical experience of worry. And you can almost feel how quickly your brain is running, right? There's this huge party of worry going on. Every time you think you've sort of like let go of one thought process that you're enjoying, sort of mulling over. And I say enjoying only because the body, again, it feels productive. It feels like, oh, I'm gonna watch this through from beginning to end. I'm gonna think of all the things I can do. You're going to have a physical or emotional response to it, again, kicking up that stress response. And the heightened level of stress, the higher that level of stress becomes, the harder and harder it's going to get to problem solve, right? We're going to move into that survival space. We're going to move into fight or flight. Logical thinking is going to become more and more difficult. All that noise of all those worries and all those worry pathways, making it harder to weed through to what you need to focus on right now. So if you're feeling like I'm feeling right now, which is overwhelmed by this continual volume of worry coming in, there's a couple of things that you can do energetically to support that. And one of them is mindfulness. And again, I feel grateful to have been practicing mindfulness for a while. And I assure you that even with practice behind me, when those worry pathways are going, it's a challenge. So be gentle. The brain right now is processing. It is engaged. So if you can imagine where our attention goes, our energy follows. So if right now all of your attention is here, thinking, mulling over, processing, possible outcomes, past experiences, right? It is on fire, going. All of your energy is also here, right? You may be experiencing headaches. Again, you may be experiencing tension in the jaw. Your head may feel like it's going to explode with all these thoughts. All of your energy is here. So how can we lessen that a little bit? Mindfulness strategies of anchoring and practicing grounding. So if you can imagine, grounding is the practices, there's different ways of doing it, of bringing energy down and grounding it out through the bottom of your feet. And so there's a couple ways you can do this. You can look up some grounding meditations that you can follow. You can go outside and stand barefoot on the ground, which for a lot of us, it's still a little cold outside to do that. But if you find the space to do that, really a great idea. Or energetically, you can bring your attention to the bottom of your feet. And so by focusing on it, you're gonna be like, I got things to think about. I do not need to think about the bottom of your feet. So the thing that I think is important to add here is we're not asking you not to problem solve, right? We're not saying, hey, you need to go downstairs, get into meditation and pretend that you don't have all these problems to solve. Absolutely not. What we're suggesting is that your brain cannot run in worry mode or problem-solving mode indefinitely. It will trigger a stress response. Your thought processes will not be as clear as you would likely like them to be. So what I'm suggesting from an energetic point of view, and what I really believe will support you, is take some of that energy and redirect it. Move it from here, take it down into your feet, ground it out through the bottom of your feet. Give yourself a break from, give your mind a break from that excessive worrying or that excessive problem solving. It will lead to clearer thought. So taking, even minimal, take 5 minutes here, 5 minutes in an hour, another 5 minutes, gaps of time where you say, okay, you know what? I've been running in problem solving mode for a long time. My brain is stressed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Take 5 minutes, right? Take 2 minutes. Your brain's going to keep jumping back up, right? Redirect. Pay attention to the bottom of your feet. Again, where you pay attention, your energy will follow. And again, it's not necessarily because there's anything exciting happening at the bottom of your feet. But the one amazing thing about our physical body is it is right here in this time and space right now. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, your brain has the ability to take on any time and space it wants to. Any. Possibilities infinite. Worries from the past, worries about the future. It can be anywhere. Finding a physical anchor on your body, the bottom of your feet. Pay attention to the movement of your breathing. Pay attention to your fingers, right? Other mindfulness strategies, go out and observe something, right? Go out and look at a tree in as much detail as you possibly can. Take your mind from all of this unlimited space and direct it to something tangible right here, right now. And again, the physical body offers that opportunity. So again, for me, it's paying attention to the bottom of my feet. And you can do that by feeling how the feet are on the ground. You might feel the pressure of your heel, you might feel the pressure of your toes. You can wiggle your toes, right? Feel them moving, if you're wearing socks or shoes, feel how it's bumping into the sides of the shoes. And again, it's not because you necessarily like the experience of paying attention to your feet, but when we direct our attention to our feet, we're gonna start drawing some of that energy down. And you're gonna be paying attention to something that's happening right now, as opposed to this endless abundance of thoughts that's taking you into all sorts of places that's triggering a stress response in your body. And again, if that stress, if that overwhelm, if that worrying is creating headaches or tension in the jaw, or again, that pressure, by drawing energy down, you're going to be releasing some of that pressure. By giving yourself a moment's break from the worrying, you're going to be taking off some of that pressure. And again, every opportunity you have to draw some of that energy down and to step out of those worries, even for a minute, you're going to be supporting that stress response. You're going to be calming that stress response. And if we want to be clear and we want to be problem solving, because you may genuinely, and we all genuinely right now have problems to solve, you're going to be clearer. Your thoughts will feel clearer. You're not going to be wading through all of those worries to find a clear thought process. So again, paying attention to the bottom of the feet. You can also, as an anchor, you can use a mindfulness strategy like observation, go and find something in nature, looking out the window, find something you have that's captivating in your home and pay attention to it in as much detail as you can to take your thoughts away from the worrying to something more tangible. Again, there are some amazing guided videos for grounding that you can look up on YouTube for grounding. And again, that's about the actual energy movement. Mindfulness practices of paying attention to your breath, observing the movement of your physical body as you're breathing. Again, it takes us from this expansiveness of thought into something very physically tangible, something that's happening right now. And any of those breaks that you can give yourself are going to calm that worry party, are going to send some of those worry patterns and worry pathways away so that you can find yourself back into calmed, clear thought processes and a calmed stress response, which again is also going to help your physical body to be in better shape to rest and restore. Okay, if you have any questions, you're welcome to message me. There are some energetic practices that we can do to help you with that grounding, to help to calm the energy levels of all those thought patterns and processes. And again, you can reach out to me through Facebook or through my website. All right, thanks. Take care.